Hello and welcome to another edition of our quarantine art class. I'm your host, Anthony Carter, and today I have a mask. I'm staying safe in style. My friend, Candy Wu from Queens, gave me this mask to stay safe during this quarantine. So thank you. All right, make sure you guys are staying safe and having fun. And we're about to start another session. So today we're going to talk about painting on clothes and having some cool threads to wear and sport around town. And we're also going to talk about drawing the human body. And now you can hear me better, right? So we're going to talk about the human body. We're going to draw the human body because we drew the face 2 weeks ago and it turned out a little something like this, right? Remember that when we drew the face in our sketchbook? Well, here it is. We painted this with our glue and paint mixture, our glue and food coloring mixture. I added a little bit of spray paint. I sprayed on some food coloring. I sprayed on a little paint with our bottle. We used standard food coloring like this that you can get at the store. We used standard Elmer's glue that you can mix with the food coloring to paint on the shirt and parts of the face. We also used some glitter glue to give it this nice kind of glittery tone. We used markers, like permanent markers, Sharpies, whatever you have laying around at home. We use pens. We use our whiteout pens. We have, let's see, our whiteout. All of these are standard items that you can find at the dollar store, or you might already have laying around home. I do have some spray paint with me, which I like to use to tone the background. But you know, not everyone is going to be able to use that in their studio or their room or their house. So if you do have spray paint, make sure you go outside and wear a mask, of course, and gloves. So today I wanted to show you some cool paintings that have occurred on some clothing. So we have here a jacket that I painted for a dear close friend of mine. And you can see here, it is on a jean jacket. Now there's nothing really on the front. Well, there's a little bit. The design kind of extends into the front like that. And it has leather sleeves that we're going to do up later. But painting on clothes, if you don't have canvas laying around, you can paint on clothes. And any clothing item will do. You can paint on any kind of jacket. You can paint on any kind of t-shirt. Usually t-shirts are cotton and polyester. Those, if you stretch those out, you make them nice and straight, and you can maybe even pin them to a piece of wood or tape them so that there's no wrinkles on the fabric. Then you can just take a paintbrush or even a marker, and you can just start painting and drawing on your t-shirt or your clothing, or even better, if you have a jean jacket. Now, jean jacket material is nice and thick and strong, so you can really work that paint into the jacket like I did here. And what we see here is kind of an abstract, realistic kind of a fantasy scene. We have here a setting sun, or maybe it's a rising sun over some waters. These could be some colorful mountains, or perhaps some buildings. And we have here a figure of, it could be an angel, it could be a demon, who knows? But it's a beautiful figure. It seems to be very peaceful and nice, so I think it could be an angel. But you can see there's a big giant sun behind it, and that's why it's in silhouette. So maybe later we'll add some details here. We have some design elements, lots of gradients. You know how I like to talk about gradients. Gradients and blending is one of the most important aspects that you can do when you're painting. So we'll do a little bit of that today with our paint glue. This was not with paint glue. This was with a special fabric glue, a special fabric paint, I should say. And you can see we have some nice shiny colors, nice bright colors. But we're gonna see how nice of a painting we can get using our glue food coloring mixture. So before we do that, I just want to show you one other design by a friend, and who has also had, you saw earlier in our show about making a birdhouse out of plastic bottles. And my friend Lana made this jacket, and you can see she loves purple, she loves pink. She was using her gradient blending skills. She added flowers to the design, lots of colors in the tree, and she used the frame of the jacket, the seams of the jacket, as a frame for her painting. So lots of fun. And if you don't have a canvas or paper, remember you can use clothes. And if you don't have paint, well, we're finding new ways to make that. So today, we're going to use our special paint mixture, and we're going to draw the human body. All right, so let me get this tight on there. All right, make sure we're good. Okay, so you want to set up your space, make sure you have plenty of room. I put a mat down so that I don't get things too dirty. And now we're going to start drawing our figure. I like to draw people a lot. People, I think, are some of the most fun things to draw, like when we drew the face 2 weeks ago. So I would like to do that today. So let's get started. Now, any good figure has a head, right? So we want to start with our head. And now I have a nice big sheet of paper, and we want our figure to fit on this sheet of paper. And we also want this to look really cool. So one of the ways to do that is to learn proportion. Now, proportion is how the spacing of the body pans out. So if you draw, skinny, two legs that are too skinny, it's not going to hold the human up. If you draw legs that are too thick, it's going to look off. So we want to figure out how to make our legs, arms, head, and body all proportional so that everything looks correct in the right size. And we do this in order to learn, how to piece together a human, just like what we did with the face when we learned the proportion of the face, how to divide up the face into different sections, to find the eyes, the nose, and the mouth, ears, and everything else. So the same thing can be done with the body if you learn a few different rules. And let's get started. So we want to start with the head. Now, a normal human body is about 6-7 heads tall. Some people say 8, but usually around 6 heads tall. So if you can, real quick, I'll do it with a pen, draw 1, let's see if you can see this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know if you can, yeah, you can see those. So that's about how tall a human body is. If you were to chop off the head and stack them up, 6 heads is usually the standard height of a normal adult. Now a child is less, child's maybe 2 because they're much shorter, and then you have 3 heads when you're getting a preteen, 4 heads when you're a teen, 5 when you're becoming a young adult, and then 6 when you're fully mature. So that's about how it goes for that. That's just a general guideline. So just have that in mind. But now we're going to get started on our real drawing. I'm going to use this marker so you can see better. So I'm going to start with the head. And now I'm going to put the head at an angle because I don't want my human to be standing like a robot. I want to have some motion and I want it to have some interesting looking poses going on. We don't just want it to be standing still. So I'm going to have the heads turned sideways like this. Now, when the head is turned sideways, that means that they're either looking down or they're moving forward, right? When your head's moving forward. They could be running, they could be sitting down. I don't know, but let's find out. We're gonna move from the head and we're gonna go down to the neck. So the neck, you want it to be almost as wide as the head, but not quite. You see how I made those lines there? Let me get a little bit closer for you. Let's get in here real close. You can see what I'm doing. All right, so I have my head, it's sideways, and the neck is going with the head. All right, so now what's attached to the neck? Well, our shoulders. So I'm gonna have the shoulders come out, and I'm gonna show you a trick for showing you how wide to have the shoulders. Now this neck is going into the shoulders. You can see that the shoulders go up behind the neck right here. See how the neck goes into the shoulders? Well, the shoulders come up behind the neck and into the shoulder blades. So I'm going to draw the shoulder blades. And now watch this. Look at the width of the head. See, we have the width of the head here. Look at how wide that is. I can measure that with my marker, just like that. Just put the tip of the marker on one end, put my finger on the other. And now I'm going to bring that down to my torso. The torso starts here. And here's the collarbone that connects the middle of the torso to the shoulders. So now this head is this wide, and I'm going to mark it on my marker. Now, if I bring it down to my torso, my head needs to be 2 heads wide to figure out how wide to make the shoulders. So I measure the head like that with my finger, and now I'm going to bring it down to the middle of the torso. See, there's always the middle line, the middle of the torso, and I'm measuring how wide the head is. And now I see that the head is, I can fit one head on this side and another head on this side of the middle line. So I can fit one head here and one head here, and that's how wide you know to make the shoulders. Our shoulders are 2 heads wide. So the shoulders start here. And now I'm going to come down with the torso to find the waist. And now I can kind of eyeball where it is. But if you want to be specific and really know how to figure out where the waist is, you got to measure in heads. And that waist, where's that waist? It's halfway down our body. So we know that from the head to the waist, that same height, that same length is going to be the same distance down here. So the head to the waist is the same distance as the waist to the feet. And if you were to cut a human in half right at the waist, their legs would stand just as tall as their torso to their head. That's grotesque to think about, but it's a way to imagine, right? We have to imagine different sections of our human in order to understand how to put it together. So I'm showing you the different sections and shapes to put the human together. So we have a nice egg-shaped oval for the head, a cylinder for the neck. We came down with a triangle for our shoulders, 2 heads wide. Those shoulders are 2 heads wide. Make sure to measure that with your marker. You can use your finger as well. And we're going to come down here to the waist. So the waist is halfway. So let's see how much that is. 1, 2, 3 heads down. So if your human is 3 heads down, that means we have 3 more heads to go to equal that total of 6 for the length. All right. I wish we had a live chat because I would love to answer your questions if you had any. So now, maybe in the YouTube comments are off, so that's a bummer too. But oh well, I'm gonna do my best to describe how to draw this human for you. So I'm glad that you're with us. All right, so we drew our shoulders 2 heads wide, 3 heads down to the waist. Now we're going to draw the waist itself. We're going to draw the midsection of our human, and basically that it looks like we're drawing underwear, guys. I'm gonna be honest. It's basically a triangle. So this triangle, you can see my body position is kind of curving. And I'm just kind of letting this happen naturally because I want a little bit of dynamism in my pose. So I'm not making him straight up and down, I'm having him curve a little bit. And so if you naturally kind of go off out of the lines, that's okay. You know, you can go off the page, you can add more paper, tape it on, whatever. Just make sure that you're drawing to proportion. That's the main thing. All right, so here we go. We have our waist, a triangle, and we're moving down this way. Now I'm gonna draw the legs. So that triangle, if it's a male, it's basically straight triangle. If you are a female, you might have more of a waist, right? So if you're a female, your waist might come out a little bit more like that. And then you can kind of push it in towards the center right here. So if you're a female, you will have more of a hip section here, whereas a male is more boxy and it goes down. And at this point, you can decide whether you want your figure to be a male or a female. I wish I could take your vote because then you could let me know. But I'm just going to, since I drew the hips, I'm just going to make it into a female. I'm using a permanent marker, not a pencil, but that's okay. I like to go with the flow. You know, the marker, you just kind of have to go with it sometimes. All right, so the legs, we're going to draw the oval for the legs. And now the legs, how do we know how big to make them? Well, we can look at our torso and that's how big they are. You just have to measure your torso and that's how big your thigh should be. If you bend your legs in half, if you squat down and you put your knees to your chest, you will see that they go right up to your neck. So halfway, your thighs are halfway. So I'm gonna draw those. Let me back this up so you guys can see or move it down a little. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna draw those thighs, make sure I measure how big to make it, put it down to the thigh line. The thigh line is right here. And so here's the how big it should be. I'm gonna use my marker to measure. And I'm gonna come down here and right there is how big I know to make the thigh. So I'm gonna come down from the thigh and make a nice little oval here starting from where my waistline is. So that's how big my thigh is. I'm gonna do the same thing over here. And I'm gonna have this leg, maybe I'll have it come in a little bit too. She'll have her legs close together. All right, so there's the thigh. And notice how I'm being loose and sketchy. Not everything has to be perfect, especially at the beginning. You know, don't worry about being perfect. Just be loose and free, and you know, you'll start to feel out where your form is going. All right, so now we have the thighs. I'm gonna draw the circle for the knees right there. And now I'm going to add the lower part of the leg, the calf muscles and ankles, all that. So how do I know how big to make those? Well, you can measure your torso or you can measure your thigh, right? If you bend your legs in half at the knee, your heel will touch your rear end because your leg, your lower leg is the same size as your thigh. So your leg, half of it's your lower leg, half of it's your upper. So we can measure with our finger, we can use our marker and measure and just bring it down. So I'm gonna have my legs bend this way because it's gonna flow this way and then down back that way. That will look kind of like a cool pose, I think. So I'm gonna have the legs go this way. I'm measuring from the waist to the knee, and then I'm gonna come down here, put my finger there and mark it. So that's about where the bottom of the leg is gonna be. So, and that looks like a nice cylinder too. Notice how the thighs taper in, like how a triangle goes in. It's not a triangle, but it's an oval with kind of a point to it, if you can see, right on the knee. It's thicker at the waist and it gets thinner as you get towards the knee. And now the same thing happens with the lower leg. It's at the knee, it gets thicker because of the calf muscle, and then it gets thinner as we get down towards the ankle. If you can see that, see the curve here, it gets thick and then thin. And then right here at the thigh, at the waist, it's thicker and then it tapers in and it gets thinner. So you can see, I'm going to outline it a little bit more. All right, you guys can see that. And now I'm going to find the other leg. Now, if I wanted my figure to look like it's doing the funky chicken, I can have this leg coming out this way. But I don't want to do that. I'm going to have this leg come down the same and bend the same way as this leg. Or you could have it come out maybe a little bit down. Yeah, I'll have it come down. I'll bend it back a little bit. See, when you know proportion and you know how to draw the different shapes and the different sections of the body, then you can position the figure any way that you want. And you can draw any position or any person in any style. And so you get to decide where you want to put things, and you don't always have to look from a reference photo. All right, so this leg, I'm trying to find, make sure it's the same length, because if it's a different length, it'll look funny. So you got to measure it. So I got to measure this marker from the knee to the ankle, measure this from the knee to the ankle. All right, that's good. Right down to here. Okay, so if everything is the correct size, it doesn't matter how you position it, it'll always look correct. The same is true with the tapering of the legs, how it goes from thick to thin. The same is true with the torso. Up here, you have your chest, and then you come down into your waist. Now, a man might be more straight, or it might be a little bit in, but it's always going to be kind of straight. But a woman curves a little bit more. And since I'm drawing a female, I'm going to curve this in a little bit more at the waist, down, and then at the chest as well. It comes in right here. So these are all just learning how to draw the different sections of the body. All right. So I'm going to make that neck fit a little bit better. Revise and edit as needed. All right. So now I'm going to draw the shoulders. Now the shoulders overlap the torso somewhat, and your shoulders are going to be as big as you want your person to be strong. So I'm going for more of a feminine kind of a figure here. So I'm not going to have such a big shoulder blade, right? I'm going to have a smaller shoulder. Now, the trick to drawing the arms the correct size is just like the same way with the legs. You have to measure. And now you can see my arm here from the shoulder. It goes from the shoulder here to the bicep. And then the bicep goes into your forearm, and then your forearm into your wrist and hand. So if you bend your arm in half, look where your wrist goes, right to your shoulder. So your shoulder and bicep are the same size as your forearm to your wrist, your elbow to your wrist. So keep that in mind. Also, if you stand up, what do you notice? Where do your hands go? Well, I can't show you here, but your hands, they go down below your waist, right? So your wrist is basically at your waist, and then your hands come a little bit below. So if knowing that my arm is going to end somewhere at the waist, I can figure out the midsection of my arm by drawing the shoulder and the bicep. So by drawing these two ovals, and you can even measure, they're almost the same size. I would say the bicep is maybe just slightly longer, slightly more oblong, and whereas the shoulder is a little more round. So if you have the shoulder and the bicep, that's half of your arm. So all you need to do is measure it with your finger or your marker or both. And then you can come down and say, all right, now I know where my arm is going to end. So I'm going to mark that. So let me do that one more time. I'll take my marker from the tip and I'll put my finger on where the bicep ends, like that. See? Now I'll turn it down like this, and I know that it's going to end right about here. So here's my shoulder, bicep, elbow, and then this is the joint. And then just like how everything tapers, goes from thick to thin, it's the same thing with the shoulder, bicep, and forearm. Thick shoulder, thinner bicep, or near the same thickness. And now we have a wide cylinder that tapers off to a narrow curve at the end. See? Because we don't want to have it huge so we have Popeye arms, right? We want it to be we want it to be the same width as this so that it looks proportional, right? So this width here is the same as this width here. And this length here is the same as this length here. Cuts off right there, all right? And it tapers in thicker at the forearm, and then it comes thinner at the wrist, right? It's thinner here than it is here, right? This is thicker. All right, so now we draw the hand. And now I like to draw the hand sideways. You could draw it front ways like this and draw all the digits, or you could draw it from the side like this. Like, because when your hands are resting, they're usually just like this, right? Something like that. So I like to draw the hands like that. So what I do is I draw it in 3 different sections, or 4. So I have the wrist to the palm, and now the palm can either be a circle or like a square. And so I just draw a little square. And if you measure your palm, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. 3 palms, you can fit 3 palms. 1, 2, 3. Or 1, 2. Well, almost 3, 2.5. I had to measure that again. 2.5 palms, and that will equal your forearm. You just kind of have to eyeball it, I guess. But then you draw the square. Now you come down and you draw a triangle. See how it's an upside down triangle? So you draw the square and an upside down triangle. Now you draw another triangle over here. You see the triangles? Square, triangle, triangle. And now we draw the thumb, which is just kind of like a box. And that thumb comes halfway down the fingers here, that triangle. So we have a square, triangle, triangle, and then a rectangle. And that equals the claw hand. So this is the square, this is the triangle, and then this is the other kind of cylinder. All right, so now I'm gonna draw, oh, I almost forgot to draw the feet. So let's go back to the feet and then we'll draw the other arm. All right, so I'm gonna come down to the feet, and the feet are basically triangles also. So I'm going to draw the foot. It slants forward because my feet are going forward. And the heel comes back. The heel doesn't go straight down, the heel comes back like this. So if your leg line is like this, your heel line needs to go back like that. And that heel curves, and it fixed. Now we just finished the triangle. So I like to curve it a little bit more though. So it looks like a cone almost. And now you can turn that into feet or shoes. You know, you can kind of gauge how big you want your feet to be, how big your shoes are. I don't know if there's really, I don't know of any really real rule for how big to make the foot. You just kind of have to eyeball it. Now, I want this foot to be the same size as the other foot. So I'm going to measure it with my marker, come back over here, and I'm going to see where that ends, right? So if this is where my ankles are, this line needs to be down here. So how am I going to point my foot? Well, I'm just going to draw it the same direction. maybe this person's on a skateboard. Looks or maybe they're like surfing or something. I like the skateboard idea though. All right, so here's the heel. And it comes out. Remember, it curves out. And then we're gonna curve that and connect it. And now we have the feet. All right, so we're gonna come back up to this other shoulder here. This shoulder is gonna be the same size as this one. So you can just kind of measure it or just eyeball it. And it looks about the same. Now this arm, I'm gonna have coming up. I'm gonna have it like, either, what should it be doing? I don't know, maybe they're holding something. Maybe they're looking at their phone. I don't know, we'll figure it out. So this shoulder, remember it overlaps with the torso, has to be the same size. And now I'm gonna draw the bicep. Remember the bicep is a little more cylindrical, a little longer, a little less round. And the shoulder and the bicep, if we measure it, should be the same size as the elbow to the forearm. So I'm gonna mark it, and now I'm gonna have the arm connect from the elbow to the wrist, and now I'm gonna connect that forearm to the wrist so that it tapers in at the wrist so that it's thinner. Okay, I kind of like where this is going. I'm gonna lift this up a little so we can see the hand. All right, so now I'm gonna draw the hand up here. This hand, I'm gonna have coming forward, and I'm gonna draw the claw this way. So remember, we have the rectangle for the palm. Then we have the triangle for the fingers. And now we have the other triangle, and then that other rectangle for the thumb. Or I guess it's a rectangle. So now they're kind of doing the Egyptian, right? They're like, yo. So now we got to draw the hair. And the face too. Okay. So one thing I kind of want to talk about that's important is perspective, because perspective is very important if you're drawing your person at an angle of any kind, like how we are right now. It's okay to draw the basic shapes, but to understand where the side of the human is versus the front is important for your shading and light. So if my light is coming from up here, let's say my sun is coming from up here, and that's my sun, and the light is coming down this way. Well, anything that's on the side of my person is going to be in shadow. So what I need to do is figure out where the side of my person is. Well, here we can basically, all right, so this is why you need to understand perspective, because we need to draw a 3D box like this. If you can draw a 3D box, there's the square. And now if you bring your lines up at the same angle and connect them, right? That's a 3D box going back. And now if I draw a 3D box going like this, now we see the underside of this 3D box instead of the top, right? So we see the left side and underside of this one, and we see the top side and right side of this one. Well, this is perspective. These lines are going in space back this way, whereas these lines are taking this and back into space this way. So we need to find where the 3D box is on our human, right? So instead of drawing cylinders, we can think about them as squares now. So think of the head as a square for a second. This would be the top of the head, and this would be the side. So then we can shade this whole side of the head because our light's coming from up here and it's coming down this way. So we need to shade that anything that's on the opposite side of that light. So that would be this forearm, the underside of this arm here. That would be the side of the neck, the side of the head. We could come and draw this, this line down here to make this side of the body. It'd be the same thing as over here, just like we're shading this side of the box. Now we're shading this side of the body. Same thing for the hips and the legs. You can basically just draw a line and shade one side of it. Draw a line here and shade this side. And for the foot too, the foot kind of comes down like this, and then you can just shade back here. So we can do that for this arm too. Draw a line, shade this side, draw a line, shade this side, because our light's coming this way, so our shadow is here. And we need to do the same thing for this leg too. And shade down this way. And this foot. Okay, so now we have our human drawn to scale, to proportion, I should say. And we have shadowed our human. Well, now we can start drawing the face. Let's draw the face. So the face, if you remember from last time, is the same. You want the same on, you want to find the eye line, divide the face in half, 2 hemispheres, find the eye line, the nose line, and the mouth line. So the eye line is halfway in the middle of the head. This is the top of the head. This is the middle. So that's where the eyes are. The eyes are in the middle of your head, not the very top. Your brain's in the top. So your eyes are in the middle. If you find the middle distance between the eye line and the chin, you'll find the nose line. Okay? And after we find the nose line, we have to find the mouth line. So the middle point between the nose and the chin is where the mouth goes. So we can draw the mouth line in between the nose and the chin. And our chin's right here. All right. So now, since this head is small, I'm not going to be able to put a lot of detail in, but I'm going to put as much as I can. So I'm going to come in a little bit closer. And now I'm going to draw the top arc of the eye on the left and the right side. Can you see that? Now I'm going to draw the bottom and the eyebrows and the nose. The nose, I'm just basically drawing a straight line to show the bridge of the nose. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to draw a little bit of shadow on the underside of that nose. Notice it's almost just a backwards L shape, you know? It's just almost a corner. The top lip, I'm going to add a little bit of shadow since the top lip always has a little more shadow. The bottom lip also has some shadow underneath it. So now we can see our face coming together. And the ears, even though they're in shadow, they're on the side of the head and they go from the eye line to the nose line. So just imagine those lines coming back like that. Okay. Now we can draw some hair. Now, since this is a feminine character, I'm going to draw some long hair and we can have it flowing back this way, which is fun. Hair is very fun to draw. I like to draw hair a lot. So let's come in with some hair and we're going to like that. Just really make it flow. And I'm going to have the hair ends about right here where the neck starts. So I'm going to have that hair kind of flow around like this. And, you know, if you don't want to draw a female character, well, you can draw short hair or you can draw a hat. whatever it is that you like to add to your figure. All right, so I'm just going to kind of shade the hair and add some more hair lines to make it look like it's flowing in the wind. You can kind of just go crazy if you want. Overlap the forehead a little bit more. And now we have some nice flowing hair. All right. And if you want to draw pigtails or braids or whatever, you could draw that too. Whatever you want. Okay, so now we can draw some clothes on our person, give them some style. So I'm gonna draw the neck of the shirt right here. And the waist where the shirt and the belt go, and she's wearing pants here. And now we can decide if she's holding anything, or maybe we want to put her on roller skates or roller blades or a skateboard or something. Let's do a skateboard. I like skateboards. So we're drawing the line, straight line here. And just kind of curving around. You know what a skateboard looks like. It's just a plank of wood. All right, so we got our board here, board shape. Now we're going to draw some wheels. Make them 3D, just like the 3D box. And we'll draw the other ones on the other side. You can barely see them. These are kind of big skateboard wheels. All right. Now we have, oh, you can't even see. See, I just drew my skateboard there. Okay, let me back this up so you can see it all the way. Come up a little bit. Now it's color time. All right, let's do it. I'm going to draw a horizon line right about here. And the horizon line, if you don't know, the horizon line is the line that separates the earth, the ground, from the sky, right? So up here's the sky, down here's the earth. Maybe we can go into these blocks that we made and make them into buildings. Why not? Because we want a cool background too, right? We'll just turn these into buildings. And if you can draw 3D shapes, you can draw skyscrapers and buildings. And all sorts of different shapes out there in the world. I'm just going to kind of make up my own cool little backdrops, own little city backdrop. Everybody likes a good city backdrop. And mine's going to fade off into the distance. Just like that. That's New York right there. New York City. Draw our straight lines. Okay, now we're ready to color. Now we're gonna do some glue paint, like what we tried last time. So I'm taking my glue, and come take a look down here. Taking my glue, and I'm just pouring it into my little trays. If you have, you can put it on a plastic tray of your own, or you can put it on, I don't know, anything that you don't mind getting dirty, that you can clean easily. Glass is very easy to clean. Let's see, I have red, yellow, blue, green, so 4 colors. And I'm just loading up my tray with some glue, regular white glue. I do also have this glitter glue. And I'm gonna add that on here because I like the way that glitter glue looks when you paint with it. And it dries really cool, it has cool effects. So glue is just the binder, it's just the medium for the paint, right? It'll hold color and it'll stick to your paper. So anything that you can make stick to paper, that you can push around with a brush, that's good enough for paint. So I'm adding some food coloring here. This is green. I added 2 drops to this quarter-sized piece of drop of glue. So now I'm going to mix it up with my brush. You can use your finger too. And look what a nice, brilliant color that makes. It's really quite nice. So I'm going to take that green that I added to my glue, and I'm going to start painting the background. So I have here, she's on a skateboard, so I'm going to paint a little path that she's on, and then the grass will be over here. Look how I'm moving my brush just up and down, back and forth, and this glue is really nice about creating texture with your brush marks, so you can really get interesting texture. Let's see if you guys see that very well. There. Let me get in there a little bit more. Let me start up here. So in my background. Yeah, so I'm actually really impressed with the glue and the way it works with the food coloring. It feels like paint. And it's lots of fun. Non-toxic. And look how it leaves the brush mark texture, which I really like. So I'm going to do that again, and you can just add layers, and look how it starts to build up layers that looks like grass going off into the distance. And you can just push and pull it. It's really nice. You can just add those textures in there, make that grass nice and long if you want. Okay. All right. I'm having a good time here. I hope you guys are too. If you have your glue and food coloring handy, you can paint along with me and experiment, try it out and see what happens. All right, so I'm moving it over here. Gonna spread that green grass out, make that texture on there by squiggling the brush around. And look how it naturally fades. See how it fades out? I like that. I want it to kind of fade. I want it a little thicker in the background though. The more layers you add, the more opaque it is. If you only add a layer or two of the glue, if it's not very thick, it'll be transparent, and transparent is see-through, and opaque means you can't see through it. It means it's solid. All right, so finishing up my grass here. I'm gonna work on it down here. Spread it out a little more. And you can paint with just straight food coloring too. It feels like watercolor, but it's, you can see here, I just added straight food coloring. Oh, I just added straight food coloring right here. And I still do have glue on my brush. So make sure you have water handy so that you can wash it off. And if you add just straight food coloring, you can get it nice and dark since it's super saturated. So you can, if you painted that glue on already, you can just add the food coloring straight to it, and notice how it makes it nice and dark. All right, so I'm gonna add a few more layers of that. And it helps if you have thick paper. If you have thin paper, you know, it might tend to crinkle. For this reason, you can use cardboard, and you can even glue a piece of paper onto cardboard or a piece of wood. And that glue, if you glue it onto the wood, that wood will prevent your paper from wrinkling as much, and you can get a better working surface that way. Okay, so here we have the green grass. I'm going to wash my brush. And I like to paint the background first, because then I can sort of see how I want to color my figure. So now I wash my brush. I want to make a different color now. I want to make yellow. Yellow is one of my favorite colors. And I actually have some yellow food coloring paint that I mixed up into my spray bottle from the dollar store. And these spray bottles, if you don't have spray paint, if you don't have any way to mist your paint, well, go to the dollar store, get one of these little spray bottles. They're only $1. And you can fill it with your food coloring and water or a little paint. If you want to mix in some, you could thin out some glue, but I wouldn't recommend it. But anyway, fill it up in your spray bottle and spray away. So I'm misting it because I love the splatter effect and how quickly I can cover an area with my spray bottle. And here I go. I'm going to paint that sky, that nice bright sun. And there, that's pretty good. All right. So I'm going to mix a little bit of red into my paint. A little bit of red. Well, it's kind of orange, actually. It looks more orange than red. Oh, it's supposed to be yellow. It's supposed to be yellow food coloring, but I mix it in there. And it's darkening. See how it darkened my yellow? You can see it changing. Let me change it even a little more with some red. All right. Oh yeah, now we have a nice orange. And I'm gonna spray that too, but I'm gonna spray this one over the city. All right, the orange, the city in the summertime has a nice kind of when the sun is setting, has that orange glow. When the sun hits it just right. All right. So I have this nice orange fading into that yellow. I'm gonna mix it up a little bit with my brush. Oh, it dried pretty fast. So you really don't have much time to mix it. All right, so now I'm gonna paint the human, our figure here. I'm gonna add some of that glitter glue onto the face for the skin tone. And let's see if you, I might add a drop of green. See how I have a drop of green here. And I'm gonna put it in, mix it in with my glitter glue. Oh, it just turned it green, just straight green. Well, that's okay. Now we have some shiny grass, but I'm gonna mix up a new color. I was hoping it would turn it more brown, but the food coloring just overpowered it. So I'm gonna pour more glitter glue. I'm gonna get a different, cleaner brush, and I'm just gonna use the straight. Oh no, more green on there. I need a new brush, a new clean brush. 1 second. Jumping around. All right, we only have a few minutes. It's okay if we go over a little. I would like to go through this, spend a little extra time with you guys. So I'm going to take some of that glitter glue and start painting the face. And it tones it. The more layers you put on of glitter glue, the darker it will be. So you kind of just have to let it sit a little bit. I might add some orange food coloring to shade. Oh yeah, that works nice. So this glitter glue in the orange makes a nice skin tone. So I'm gonna add more in here. Squeeze out. Okay. Oh yeah, the orange with the red glitter glue makes a nice skin tone. And notice that it's not really covering the black so much unless you add it real thick. You have to make it thick. My connection's unstable. I hope my connection is stable, you guys. I hope you're having a good time following along. I hope you can hear me. So yeah, I'm just making this nice and thick on the arms. Oops, went overboard. If you mess up, you can just wipe it off with your finger. And we're just painting it on. The thicker, the more opaque. But it's kind of cool that it's not super opaque because you can add different layers and what you can call glazes. Glazes are transparent layers of color that you slowly build up, and they look really cool when you build up enough layers. So if you build up enough layers of this glue, it will start to transform the color and the look of your person. So it gives it more dimension the thicker you make it too. And I'm gonna paint the legs down here. I'm gonna have my person will be wearing shorts. So let me just get a little more glue out on my tray. There we go. Got a lot more glue out now to work with. More glue. And I'm going to spray it with my orange. And make a nice thick pile of glitter glue. It's kind of a reddish orange. I really do like the color though. It really is nice. And look, notice how I'm just adding more and more layers on. And the darker layers, I move more towards the shadow. And it looks cool when it gets built up thick. I'm going to add some in the hair. And in the legs. And when the glue dries all the way, it gets nice and it has a little bit of a shine to it. It looks really nice when it dries all the way. I have to admit, I was really impressed painting with glue, and that's why we're continuing to do it. And if you obviously it's better to have real paint, but this gives you effects that you can't get with regular paint. So there's plus and minuses to both, using both. All right, so we've built up a nice little layer here. I'm gonna start to paint the clothes. And look at this cool little scene we got going on. There's this girl, she's kind of skateboarding in the setting summer sun. Sounds fun to me. All right, so let's do a little bit more clothing action. I have blue, I need to use blue. So I have a few minutes left. I might go over by a little bit just to finish up, but I'm having fun. I hope you guys are too. All right, so I'm mixing up my blue and the glue. My blue glue. That's a really nice deep color. It's almost too deep. I wonder if I can lighten it up. Yes, you can lighten it up by using less. So I have less food coloring and more glue, and it made it a lighter blue. And this one I have a few drops more, and it's darker. So you can mix really nicely with it. So I'm gonna come in and actually, I'm gonna add this light blue at the top, maybe add some kind of cloud looking texture here. Make it look like there's some clouds going on in the sky here. And my sun is over here, so I don't want to block that sun. So I really like glue paint a lot. It's really fun. It's very reactive with your brush mark, so it really shows your brush mark. So it shows the expression in your movement when you're painting with it, which is a lot of fun to do. Not every paint does that, but this one, there's a lot of great reasons to work with glue paint, I have to say. So, all right, we have some clouds in here. So those are some, all right, clouds. I'm gonna come down here and maybe add another layer. I love painting clouds. I don't know if I've mentioned that before. I think I might have. But for those of you who don't know, I love a good cloud show in the sky. And so painting clouds is a lot of fun. So I'm coming down here. There's a nice big golden cloud here. I might add some more here. I'm gonna move a little bit faster now. I just feel like I need some more blue up in here. Maybe the sun will pop out over here later. All right, so one more layer here. And now I'm gonna start going into my dark blue. So I'm gonna see how it blends. Let's try to blend with this. Oh, it's interesting. All right, so I'm coming in here behind my buildings. And you can create a lot of texture with your brush mark, or you can make it nice and smooth. It's up to you. So that's kind of nice. Come in here with my dark blue down here. Ooh, that's nice dark. I want to add some more dark blue down here. And blend it. Blend it by moving it back and forth, left and right, up and down, until you get that look that you want. But you want to flow with the direction of whatever you're painting. You can see we have some nice yellow light showing through underneath that really is setting the tone of our piece, right? It feels like it's warm in the setting sun. All right, so I'm mixing in a little more glue with my blue to lighten it up. And I'm gonna finish up painting this background here. Add a little more blue over here, just because I like it, filling up the sky a little more. All right, so just squeezing out the last little bit of blue on my brush here. Blending it in. If you just have a clean brush, you can take some water and you can just kind of spread it around with the water. The water will loosen up the paint. It'll make that paint, oops, I forgot a section. It'll make that paint thinner so that it's not, you can, you know, spread it around a little easier, or you can even thin it. Watch, if I clean my brush all the way, I can just rub over the section that I painted before and basically erase what I painted. See? And you can use your fingers to kind of move it around if you don't mind your fingers getting sticky. And you can create some cool movement going on in the background with your fingers. So, all right, so now I'm gonna finish up my girl. I'm gonna paint some red. I'm gonna give her a red shirt. Red is my favorite color. And that's just straight food coloring right there, which feels a lot like watercolor. I'm gonna mix the food coloring with my glitter glue a little bit. Ooh, yeah, it's nice and thick. It spreads better. The paint, the food coloring, it just spreads much better if you put it in glue. It's much easier to paint with. So that's a really vibrant, beautiful red. So I'm going to, I want yellow shorts. So I need a new brush. All right, so we're almost done with our quarantine art class for today. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys did too. So that yellow that I have looks more like a golden orange, which is okay. It looks cool. Let me paint the skateboard real quick. What color shoe should we have? We should have, let's see what color I have. How about, oh, I have this pink. I have a pink. You guys, I have a nice pink color that I'm going to use. Let me open it real quick. All right. So I poured out this nice neon pink. I need a different brush. All right, beautiful neon pink color. Dab it on my brush, and I'm gonna paint those shoes pink. Neon pink shoes. All right, now she's glowing. I'm gonna put a little pink in her hair just because this girl's cool. Cool people don't care. They got pink hair. All right. So pink hair, pink shoes, red shirt, yellow shorts. That's a winning combination. I'm gonna try to make these shorts a little thicker. The thicker you make it, the more opaque it gets. I'm trying to rhyme here for you guys. The thicker you make it, the more opaque it gets. All right, I'm gonna stop that. All right, so we added a little more shading. A little more color here and there. You know, I could really take my time and perfect this, make it look pristine, but trying to hurry up for you guys. Our time has just about ended. I'm gonna add some blue into that pink. Maybe it'll turn a little purple. Add some blue for the shadow. A little bit more blue. Oh yeah, that blue is cool. All right, finishing up. Hope you guys are staying safe, having fun. We're doing longer classes now, hour classes or longer if we're having a lot of fun like we are this time. And I'm glad you guys are sticking with us during this crazy time. All right, well, I'm wrapping up for today. Let's take a look. Oh, let's finish the skateboard. Let's take a look at what we've done. I hope you guys are enjoying these quarantine art classes. There is freedom and limitations sometimes, so you have to work with what you got. And now we got this cool skater chick rolling through the city. And we'll see you next time, guys. So thanks for joining us.